So I apologize to everyone. I was not in the Navy. I totally could have been. All right. I have a tendency to swear. I totally apologize if this offends anyone. I'm really passionate about what I do. So sometimes when you piss me off, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to tell you, hey, you suck. Awesome. This presentation is totally of my own opinion. This doesn't reflect on Megan or Dylan or anybody with WordCamp, all right? I just want to make that clear. That's awesome. You've been warned. Do we need to see that again? All right. So, if there's one point to my whole presentation, as in you can take this point and then go watch C's if you want to leave, I'm going to sum it up. It's this. Write everything down. Totally write everything down. I hate when people have everything stored in their head, because over time you start seeing things and you're like, oh, my website needs to do that. My website needs to do this too. And did you write anything down? No. So in 3 weeks, you probably have a whole new website design instead of your original idea. And your original idea was probably the best. Usually that's how it rolls. You have one idea and it's incredible. And then you're like, okay, my next idea is we're going to re-customize Facebook. That's a horrible idea. Don't do that. That's the main focus of this whole presentation. Write shit down, all right? I'm going to go over my process of how I write stuff down. I have this wall in my house. It's huge. And I went down, and it's the paint that you can actually turn your wall into a dry erase board. My whole wall, that's where I write things down. When people come to me and they're like, here's my idea. All right, great. Let's start with the homepage. When someone clicks on this, what happens? We map out the site before I ever install WordPress. All right, so here's how it works. Every website has simple formulas, all right? All you need is an idea. That's what they say, right? You just need an idea and your website can be built. That's totally wrong. That's the easy part. From building a site like couponing, or let's say you're going to build the next Facebook, there's steps that need to be taken. You don't just install WordPress and you have the next social media site. There's steps that you have to build. There's development, there's function, there's testing, there's user testing, and then there's feedback, which feedback takes the longest to do. So I have 4 parts to a process that I do. All right. These are going to help you in your daily lives. If you want to kind of take my method, you guys are free to. I can't stop you, Awesome. So I build an outline and then I build a plan. All right. So I sit down with the client and I say, here's what we're going to do. You want to have a website that registers people's dogs. Great. How do we get from the simple content of your homepage to the actual them giving you money and signing up for your service? That's what we do. We build out your outline and we build out your plan. And then we start going into the development mode. Again, this is way before we even install WordPress. We start thinking about what themes do we need? What plugins are we going to use? What functionality do we need? Does the menu bar need to change before or based on user role, right? That kind of stuff really matters. If you just kind of walk up to someone and say, here's my website, build it, it's not really going to come out. The next one is function. Once we have the themes, the plugins, we have the framework that we want, what we really need to start doing is, how is this going to work, right? When someone goes to this page and they click on this link, where's it going to take them? If they want to use PayPal or Google Checkout or whatever, how do we get them to that point? Once we get them to that point, what happens after that? You need to think all of this through. That's why I say all your colors and your logos, that shit doesn't matter. You need people to pay you money to survive, right? So that's what you really need to figure out. The last part is success. If you do the first 3, you're gonna hit success. That's just kind of my golden rule. You're gonna have this point to, you know what, this website does exactly what we need it to do. Now you can start doing logos and colors and pens and t-shirts and all that great stuff. But you really need to have an outline and a plan. And that's actually something that Chris Lemma talked about, and it's something that Megan talked about. Awesome. So having a plan of attack, it's like building, well, a website, right? But it's mostly like building a house. You can't just decide, I'm going to build houses today. You have to have blueprints. You got to go to the city and get approved and all this kind of stuff. So having a plan of attack. When a person has an idea, they see this idea in their head, right? They're clicking on things. They already know if it's going to be flat design or if it's going to be responsive. They already know these things. But do they have it written down? Chances are they do not have it written down, all right? When you write things down, this creates your project outline. How many people who are developers have had a client come to you and they say, this is my website, but they have no idea what the website actually does. They just like want to modify Twitter. How many people? All right? That sucks, right? Well, how do you want to modify Twitter? I want to put a button right here. You know how many lines of code it takes to do that, right? Like, I don't think you're going to give me a week to put a button here when, it took years to build Twitter. That doesn't work. So, if, like I said, someone walks into this developer, build my site, two things are going to happen. They're either going to get their dream job, they're going to get their dream website, right? Wow, this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted it to do. Or the second part to that is you build the site and it does what they told you they want it to do, but it doesn't capture or feel like the website that they wanted. That's usually what happens, right? We install Gravity Forms, we map it to custom post types, maybe we have some domain mapping going on, and it works flawlessly. But the client's like, I just can't even log in yet, and like, I need my clients to be able to do this, or I need them to do that. And when you start getting into what they wanted versus what you have it doing, you have this line of where nobody's point or nobody's ideas are being considered, and that's kind of where clients and developers part ways. People stop getting paid, there's like angry emails, there's threatening of court, all this kind of stuff, so you need to have this plan. So, after I sit down with clients, I'm going to put this right in front of you, don't steal it. All right, so after I sit down with clients, I write everything down on a Post-it note, okay? I write one idea down on each Post-it note, and I stick that shit to the wall, right? Here's how they log in, bam. If they're logged in, here's where they're going to go. If they're logged out, they're going to go here. So I start mapping this out. How many people have seen like infographics that do this, that show you, right? Algorithms that show you this kind of stuff. That's what I start doing on the wall before you even install WordPress. It is so much easier to fix your website on a wall than it is to rewrite code thousands of times, right? How many people know that feeling? Everybody in here raise their hand. Awesome. There we go. All right. So that's part of my first outline of my plan, right? Let's figure stuff out. Let's put it down somewhere that we can see it. And then we can start changing things. When you start talking and not writing things down, you have so many ideas and so many people have like interrupted you to say their point. Then you interrupt them to say your point and you get confused. So write things down. All right. Educating the client. I said educating. All right. You don't have to give away your secret blend of spices, but you do have to let people know what's going on. All right. Clients see websites like Etsy and Pinterest, and their website needs to do that. Why? Because it's brand new. Oh my God, my website needs to do this cool thing. It needs to do this, and that's awesome, right? They want to put their own flair on it. As developers, we know that we can just write a patch or write a plugin and submit it to Etsy, and now if they like it, their website will do that. Clients tend not to know this. No client thinks, maybe I can just suggest to Etsy my idea. No, they want to rip off Etsy, put in their idea, and get rich off of it, right? You can still get rich off submitting patches. There's a little way to go around it, but they don't think this way. All right? So their whole thing is, let's modify Facebook. My idea is going to kick ass, right? Because I know what Facebook's not doing, and this is where they should be going. All right. What clients don't realize is, like I said, there's thousands of lines of code to be written. There's some things on Facebook that you will never see. There's just pages and pages of scripts and scripts that just live somewhere off in like India or something that make Facebook. And clients forget this. That's why we build this outline. Here's what needs to happen. You don't just install this plugin and shit works. You still have to configure the plugin. You still have to make something happen. You know, somebody gave you the code. You still have to train it to do what it is you need to do. So, when I hand over this project outline, let's say we've gone through the wall, they like what's being done, I hand it over to them. I always tell my clients, look, here's the theme we're using, here's the plugins we're using, and here's what's possible with the themes and plugins, right? Because once clients know what's possible, all those stupid ideas that they have in their head go out the window, right? Okay, we're using Gravity Forms and it can map to a custom post type. Someone can register on my site. We can send that registration to MailChimp. Now they're getting all my newsletters. And they're like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't even think of that. So their whole idea about adding this little button down here is out the window because that was a bad idea to begin with. But when you start letting people know what's possible, then they start going in the right direction. All right? Of course, clients are going to ask you every question under the sun. Like Chris Lima was saying, don't be afraid to say no. Can my website have a Facebook login button in the top header? No, let's do that later. Let's do that, when you have your first 1 million users, then we can do that kind of stuff. Your logo, your colors, your social interactions, that stuff doesn't matter right now. You need to have a website up before you can do anything, right? You have to build the car before you drive to San Francisco. That's still part of my outline and my plan. So, before you pick some things out, there are some plugins and there are some themes that do some awesome stuff, all right? But is it appropriate for your site? This is what we were just talking about, right? All right, so if a client is told, man, WordPress is gonna be the best idea for your website, that little birdie is probably gonna tell them there's things called themes and plugins. And that they should go check out Theme Forest because there are so many themes and so many plugins on there. So now this client, without this plan, if they didn't have a plan or an outline, everything sounds great to them, right? Oh, I need a membership plugin. They start searching and there's 7 membership plugins. These are all great. Which one do we pick? Well, if you don't have an outline and if you don't have a plan, you're gonna pick them all. So now you just spent like $300 on membership plugins and none of them do what it is you need them to do. Awesome. So I personally had this client, their nephew, tell me that in no way, shape, or form are we allowed to use this theme and these 15 different plugins because he saw a YouTube video that said it slowed down your site. Fair enough. WooCommerce slows down your site. It takes a big hit. All right, I saw his point. Fair enough. It so happens that this nephew tried to build this site and he could not configure the plugins. He could not get the theme to work. So therefore, he thought these were broken. These were trash. They didn't work. It turned out that that theme and those plugins were exactly what we needed to use, right? But that's where I get from, instead of developing your plan, he just went out, researched a bunch of shit, and bought it, and then tried to put it together, which that's what inventors do, right? Inventors use anything and everything possible until, bam, you have a light bulb all of a sudden. That doesn't work with your website. That will never work with your website. You need to have a plan. Plans are so important. I'll even take it one step further. He didn't want plugins at all. He wanted everything baked into the theme. He wanted Gravity Forms into the theme. He wanted whatever Contact Form 7 into the theme as well. He wanted S2 Member baked into the theme. He wanted Jetpack baked into the theme. This kid had no idea what he's talking about, but I don't blame him. I blame him on how he got his education to that point, right? He read a bunch of tutorials that said, just go to Theme Forest, pick out your stuff there, it's gonna work out. There's a lot of that that's being represented as Theme Forest is this great hail, it's the holy grail, right? But if you don't know what it is you're looking for, everything looks great. Awesome. So you get what you get. We're specialists as developers with what we do, right? We know how to get in there, how to mess with code. We know how to make it do what it is we want it to do. Chances are that that nephew started researching his plugins and his themes, right? And that's great. But again, there's a lot of these themes and a lot of these plugins. Look at StudioPress. StudioPress is great. How many people use StudioPress? Come on, don't be afraid. Genesis is awesome. I have many sites on Genesis. Most of those themes only do 33 to like 54% of what it is I'm trying to do, right? So when the client comes to us and we build this outline, maybe we do send them to Theme Forest. It's okay to send them to Theme Forest, but let's try to find something that does 60 to 65% of what it is you're trying to accomplish. I can build in the rest later, but let's try to find what's important, right? Your layouts, that doesn't matter. Your headers, your footers, that doesn't matter. What is it you're trying to do? You're trying to get people to sign up on PayPal? Let's find a theme that already has that PayPal stuff baked into it, so we don't have to worry with it. Let's try to find something that's going to allow you to add multiple sidebars. Maybe they're going to be advertising and they need new sidebars. There's plugins that do this, but there's also a lot of theme developers that are building themes that do some really cool stuff. So if you don't have this plan and you pick this theme, you're stuck with it because you're not going to pay another $80 for something that might break again, right? So let's research. Let's do a lot of planning. Where's that? Yeah, Gravity Forms. How many people use Gravity Forms? Come on, show of hands. Wow, I thought there'd be more. Okay, Gravity Forms is a great example. You literally can install this plugin, and chances are whatever it is you're trying to do, you can do it, right? If you can't, you submit it to the team at Gravity Forms, and they're going to build it into their next release. Awesome. So let's backtrack for a minute. Let's not forget the golden rule that anything is possible, right? But the smaller details about your website really matter. They really, really matter. So they come to you with this idea, your clients do. Here's my logos, here's my pen, here's my stationery, and this is all great. Your website needs to have that automatic, see what I did there? See how I spelled automatic, right? It needs to have that automatic appeal. People click on Best Buy and they're like, wow, this looks great. Maybe I'll give them my money just based on looks, right? We judge things on looks. It's sad, but we do. We judge things on looks. So while the look of your site might scream amazing, the functionality of your site might be whispering subpar, and people listen to whispers more than they listen to screams. Okay? So if your website, if every time they click on something and they're getting a 404 page, or they're getting like maintenance mode or whatever, they're gone. They're going to go search for somebody else. That's why function is so much more important than colors and logos and design. So let's use this in an example, okay? There's this theme and it does this really cool thing, but I have no idea how it works. Holy shit, do I wish clients would come to me and tell me that. I wish they would come and tell me that. I found this great theme on Theme Forest and I can log in and I can log out and I can post from the front end of the site. They never explain it to me that way. They just say, hey, my friend told me about this. I found this great theme and it does something awesome. Great, well what plugins does it run off of? I don't know, but I like the color of it. It's a magazine layout. It's awesome. Is it using WooCommerce? Why does that matter? Are you selling things? No. Then why are you using that plugin? That's what I'm getting at here. Okay? So it's very popular, Theme Forest is, to go and pick all these things. But that's what I hate about demonstrations on Theme Forest, is it might do what it is you're getting at. It might be a great dog rescue site or a dog shelter site or whatever, but you have no idea what's running in the background. You don't know what JavaScript libraries they're running. You don't know what jQuery they're running. You have no idea if They're running MailChimp and Gravity Forms, which if anybody knows those two plugins, they don't play nice with each other. The date pickers are all messed up. So if you have Gravity Forms and MailChimp on the same page and you have two different date pickers, because date pickers are awesome, you're going to have conflicting issues, right? You don't know any of this stuff when you're looking at demos. You're just kind of looking at the face of it, you know? It's like the salesman showing you a car, but the car's over there and they're like, it's a nice car, right? You're like, yeah, but what kind of motor does it have? It doesn't matter. Look at these wheels, they spin, right? Awesome. So WooCommerce is this great example of what I'm talking about. I need a drink of water. Does anybody care? Awesome. So WooCommerce is huge. I love the guys at WooThemes. Their support is amazing. They do great, great work. Okay. How many people have been on ThemeForest and the actual template that you're looking at says built for WooCommerce? How many people have seen that, right? A couple people. It's not really built for WooCommerce. Basically what you're doing is you can literally copy WooCommerce, drop that folder into your theme folder, and then you can start playing with the different options of WooCommerce inside of your theme. So all they're doing is taking somebody else's work, transferring it here, and hacking it. It's not built for it. They're just representing WooCommerce in a different way. So when you go on ThemeForest and you see, great, here's this login, here's this log out feature. When you click on it, a pop-up box comes up, right? And you can sign up, or you can already, if you're registered, you can log in. That's great. But again, why are you using WooCommerce if you're not selling anything, right? Most clients, they're not going to sell anything. Most clients have brochure websites. Who doesn't know what a brochure website is? All right, everybody, right? So if you have this great 5 to 10 page site that you need and it's all brochure, you don't need to be running WooCommerce. You don't need to be running any commerce. Is that taken? Can you search that? Anycommerce.com? Let's search that, right? Awesome. Great. So clients start basing their websites off of the theme that they pick, right? Let's keep using this example. Let's say they pick this magazine theme, and this magazine theme has this slider. It's not the slider that they wanted, but it's a slider. It will do. It's got all your, your feed. It's got all your blog posts. It's got this great little advertisement space. Maybe your client never thought about advertising, right? But there's those advertising boxes, so now they think with the theme, you have to do it, or else why are we using the theme? So they start building their website around this template when it was the wrong template to go off of. And they went off of this template because it looked cool. It looked pretty, right? So that's what I'm getting at with this plan and this outline is let's figure out what it is you need to do, and then we'll go look at all the cool stuff. Awesome. So I call this move, this is called the whiskey dick. That's right. That's right. It totally is. All right? Can someone say epic failure, right? I'll say it even louder. Clients come and it's total epic failure. Many times when I'm building this client site or I'm providing support, I start seeing patterns in their flaws, right? They come to me once and they're like, okay, Gravity Forms doesn't work anymore. What did I do wrong? We'll dive into their site. They probably unchecked a bunch of stuff. All right, we'll fix it. Then they'll come back a month later and they're like, my custom post type isn't working again. How come? We'll go in there and it's the same thing. They either unchecked a box, they deleted a period where it should have been a comma, they did something, right? So let's think about this for a minute. It's so much easier to build a new site versus trying to fix an old one that was built on, let's say, 2.9, right? And it's running an old version of S2 Member. Membership plugins are actually great for this kind of talk. S2 Member used to be the only membership plugin you could use at one point. It does a lot of cool things, and those guys are great. If you ever go to like WordCamp, Orange County, or New York, you can meet all the S2 Member guys. But there's plugins right now that are being built that we don't even know about yet, right? So you're going to go home and install S2 Member when you could have took some time to do a little bit of research, and you could have found WPMU. You could have found their membership plugin that lets people sign up for your site, but based on their role, you can dictate what they see in the nav bar. That's really cool. You can't do that with S2 Member, right? There's a lot of membership sites that do different things, and that's why each plugin does something specifically different. That's why we build this plan. Awesome. So as developers, we know that function really matters, right? When somebody does this, I want it to do that. How many people have heard of the site, if this, then that? Awesome. All right, great. For those of you who don't know, it's literally this. If I tweet something, please post it to Facebook. That is where I send clients. When they're like, I need this website, and my website, when I tweet something, I need it to post to Facebook. You don't need a website. This one already does it for you. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? Awesome. So you have this client, and they have this grand idea, but they're not going to do it efficiently. Nobody does things efficiently. Clients definitely don't do things efficiently. They don't give you enough time. They definitely don't pay you, right? They don't pay you enough, as that is. And they really don't allow for change. They don't let you sit down and say, hey, here's my code. Here's what I needed to do. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's adjust it. They don't care about that. They think that we're the brain, so we already know what to do. We don't make errors. We just install stuff, right? We totally make errors. How do we get your website or your client's website from A to Z? How do we get it from step 1 to step 329? That's functionality. That's making things happen. That's programming it. That's telling somebody, if you go here, here's what's going to happen. If you go here, something else is going to happen. That kind of stuff is so far from picking themes on ThemeForest and plugins. You install these plugins, and again, let's use Facebook as an example. It installs that Facebook thing in the header. And that's great. But what if it doesn't sync to your personal business page? It only goes to your personal profile page. Now you have to code that up. You have to hack that up. You have to make your theme do that. You have to write another plugin that hacks that plugin to make it do that. That's functionality. That's really what clients should be focusing on, is the function of their website. You have great SlideShare images, or you have great pixel images, but what is your website trying to accomplish? Let's get that figured out. So, Forrest Gump, functioning is as functioning does. Yeah, awesome. So, let's say some ideas are so amazing that this idea doesn't even exist yet. Right? How many people have had a client say, oh, well, Facebook can do it, my site can do it? How many people have had that? Come on, everybody put your hand up for that one, right? That's technically true, right? We can copy anybody else's work, but there's a lot of scripts that run somewhere else on a different server that you will never see, right? Or there's jQuery pieces of code inside the footer that you will never see that makes that little button when you move your mouse over a picture and this picture does something cool. There's a piece of code telling it to do that, and nobody ever sees that. But they think, oh man, there's a plugin that will do that for me. No, that kind of shit's got to be built in because there's not plugins that do that yet. So that's what I'm getting at, is your function really matters more than anything. Great. So getting back to the post-it notes on the wall idea, right? How do we get them to this step? That's why we write things down. If they're logged in, they can do this. If they're logged out, they can do this. While they're logged in, do we want them to update their profile? Yes, so now they can go here. Do we want them to change their billing address? Yes, now it's got to go here. What you're doing is you're basically building your site navigation, and you don't even realize it, right? You're building this outline, but you're also building your navigation, right? Because that's the second biggest thing that clients come to you. Here's what I need in my menu bar. Why do you need a link to your friend's cooking website if you have a dog site? You don't, right? But they need it because they think they need it. So this is why I put everything down on a wall, right? I break things down to clients. I can show them what mistakes they're making, and I can let them fix it. Instead of just building a demo and saying, is this what you wanted? They have no idea, right? They have no idea. They say, you're the developer. Does it do what I asked you I need it to do? And you're like, yeah, totally. So when you have everything written down on a wall, that's where you start seeing your mistakes. Wait a minute, we don't have a log out button. All right, let's put a log out button. Wait a minute, how do we get a PayPal account? All right, let's put a PayPal account right here. How do we get them to here? Let's fix that. That's so much easier than writing code over several thousands of times. Awesome. This is what I explain to clients. This is what's really happening. When someone types in your .com, right, WordPress is loading. That's all running in the background though, right? Do we all realize this, that WordPress runs on your server and WordPress isn't running on the front end of your site? WordPress is just kind of displaying what it's doing in the background. So here's WordPress, right? This is what we're doing. So this is where you're going to log in. This is where you're going to make all your changes. This is where you're going to add your plugins or your contact phone numbers. Then your theme is going to load, right? So now we need to make it colorful. Now your logo needs to show up. Now your hex colors start to show up. Then your plugins load, right? Your third-party plugins load. Gravity Forms comes on. That Facebook social like. 10 minutes, awesome. That was to the side, nonchalant. Awesome. So then what happens next is the UI. Once all your stuff loads, now people can start interacting. And every time they click on something and go to a next page, whether you're caching or you're not, this is what's happening. WordPress loads, your themes load, your plugins load. That's why it's really important to have a plan ahead of time instead of trying to figure it out after you build something that's like 20% of what you're trying to do. Awesome. So accomplishing your client's dreams, it's totally harder than it seems. That rhymes. Awesome. That's what she said. Awesome. Okay. So now that you know what to do, now that you know, let's put some things on a wall. Let's write things down. That's why people in NASA write shit down. They can go back and say, here's what we did. Here's how we messed up. That's really, really important. It's really important. That's how you solve your problems, and that's how you develop your skill, like Chris was talking about. Let's solve your problems by recognizing what we did wrong. And with your clients, what they did wrong was they didn't ask you for advice. They just kind of Googled a tutorial, went to Theme Forest, and picked some shit out and hoped it worked. So we have a couple quick minutes. This is client and developer relations. I'm going to give you guys some quick tools that you guys can use. These are tools that I use every day. Asana. Who knows about Asana? Awesome, awesome. Colin, you better know about Asana. All right. Tracky. How many people know about Tracky? Nobody. I have this great little Tracky wristband. They're a Las Vegas startup. They're doing cool shit. Basecamp. How many people know Basecamp? Awesome, awesome. Basecamp is great. You guys should use CloudSnap. Everybody turn around and say hi to Colin. Seriously, say hi to Colin. Colin's got this thing called CloudSnap. It's incredible, and it works with so many different applications, right? But Basecamp is going to get you started in that direction. WordPress. How many people don't know WordPress? I fucking hope you know WordPress. Awesome. Asana is the awful. How many people have had an awful here in Reno? Right? Go have one. At the Little Nugget, it's a burger. It's like this tall. It's incredible. Asana, it's a web-based app where it's kind of like Google. You just log in from any computer and all your projects are there. I only use Asana for my personal team, for the people that I hired. This is how we communicate. I have a website and we offer WordPress service to people who need help, but I don't communicate to my staff through our website. That's what the client and us are for. We use Asana. Asana is great. Look it up, asana.com. I hope I spelled that right. Tracky, enough said. All right. Tracky is this great startup in Las Vegas. It's basically taking your project management and allowing you to share it through social media, right? Tracky.com, sign up. It's free. It's totally free. They have a cute little logo too. Awesome. All right. So I use Tracky for a lot of things. I release all my press releases off Tracky because I can keep it, I can keep making revisions, I can keep sharing it, and anybody who finds me on Tracky can read all my stuff, right? I can create groups, I can create multiple groups, I can create timelines, milestones. You can do all this stuff with Tracky. It keeps you in line. So when you build that outline, you can use Tracky to say, here's project 1, here's project 2. Here's project 2A, 2C, 2CA, you get where I'm going with this. Tracky is amazing. How we doing, Dylan? We got time? 5 minutes, whatever? Sorry, my Android doesn't want to listen today. Basecamp, you're totally drunk. Basecamp is great, right? I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Basecamp. I used to use Basecamp. I still kind of do, because I have clients that come to me and they're like, oh, do you have Basecamp? Can I share all my information with you via Basecamp? It's already written there. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we have Basecamp. Right? How many people don't know what Basecamp is? A few? All right, great. So you have an account, right? And that's where you build your project. That's where you build your syllabus, right? But now you can send an invite to somebody and let them chime in on the conversation. You let them chime in on things. You can also keep your contacts. You can also keep your email templates, stuff like that. But this is collaborating with your client. Basecamp, it's great. It's awesome, but it's not catching up to Asana and Tracky the way that it should be. I love Basecamp, and that's what CloudSnap does, by the way. It lets you connect to Basecamp, to Salesforce, to even Evernote, right? You go to Evernote, you totally go to Evernote. All right. But that's what it does. But it lets you combine all these services into one. That's what's really cool about Basecamp. So if you're looking to do things on a large scale, maybe Basecamp is the right answer for you. WP Project Management Unlimited. This is a plugin, and it's free. You should go check this shit out. What it is, okay, is it installs a custom post type in your dashboard, and it will say projects. So now you create a new project, and you write out your syllabus there inside of WordPress, right? And then you add your client as a new user to your WordPress site, and then you say they're allowed to view this project. And now what you do is you have one page where there's your notes, but it starts a comment feed, right? I don't like this, I don't like that. But now you're writing everything down. You're writing all of that correspondence down. So when they come back in 6 months and say, I didn't want that, you can say, no, you totally did want this, right? But you can also keep track of how much money they've paid you. Is this done yet? You keep track of cool stuff like that. But this is a great plugin. It's free. We use it on Geek Street. When I have clients who are not support clients, they're actually design clients, this is how I stay on board with them. I install a subdomain on my multi-site called clientsname.geekstreetwp.com. From there, they can submit support tickets, they can read the knowledge base, they can write articles themselves. But on the project side of things, they can see, here's what we're doing. Maybe we need to give them a piece of code that they're going to use over and over. We write that code there inside of that project management post type. That way they can keep going back, right? Instead of sending them a PDF, they have an online knowledge base of how their theme specifically works. WP Project Management Ultimate. Great. So in conclusion, this is the end. What was the main point, right? Write everything down. Please just write everything down. If you're brand new or if you're a client, have your clients write something down. If you're a developer, just say, hey, what is it you're trying to do? Let's put it on paper. I'll build it for you, but what is it that you're trying to get to? That's the main goal. Just write stuff down. Awesome. Any questions? 1 minute? Awesome. Go ahead.
Can you just repeat? Do you have some free software you'd recommend for site mapping?
Free software for site mapping on WordPress? So I specifically do things with WordPress, and it's called domain mapping. It's a free plugin, and it gives you a full set of instructions on what to do.